So I just plugged in a different location here, and I want to really focus on what the movement forecast means. So for this particular area, we have core area movement for the next 3 days, and then it switches over to full range. If we read the description here, core area movement likely limited to bedding area for daylight hours. Movement outside of the core area is unlikely. So this is like intended to be the type of day where you just don't see a lot of deer movement in general. If you're hunting your normal spots, if you're hunting your set fixed position stands, pinch points, things where you might expect to see good movement during the rut, days where you just don't see anything out in the normal feeding areas or the fields during daylight hours, it just seems like they're not really moving very well for whatever reason. But based on the GPS collar study data, they're still moving, but a lot of that movement is really still held tightly to the core area, especially during daylight hours. So the thought here is that you shouldn't look at that as a day where it's just going to be bad to hunt in. You might choose to say that, especially if you have a small parcel of land where you're not hunting where the deer are bedding and you don't have access to it. Maybe they're bedding on the neighbors. Then maybe you look at a core area prediction. You say, maybe this is a day where I stay out of the woods. I leave my scent out, give that area some rest, and I choose to hunt on a day where it's more of a full range type of prediction or a transition area prediction. But if, let's say, you're hunting a large tract of public land, core area prediction might tell you that on a day like today, if I'm going out in the woods, I might just need to really make sure I get as close as I can to where some of those known bedding areas are and really try and tuck in as close as I can to try and capture that movement, because it might be one of those days where you get those deer that just kind of get up out of their beds and mill around and feed a little bit just in that real heavy cover around their bedding, but that's about it. And if you're hunting in more of your pinch point type areas, you might not catch that movement. Now let's jump to full range. Increased likelihood of daytime travel throughout the deer's full range. Food, cover, water will dictate size and shape. Every deer is different in this regard. So your full range is like the pattern that you usually are looking forward to, because it gives you your best opportunity for a lot of movement, a lot of total mileage covered throughout the day. It means that, strictly in a 24-hour period, the deer are covering the most amount of distance in that 24-hour period. Now in the rut, that might mean that they're covering a lot of miles during the rut. For early season or late season, when they're on a bed to feed pattern, it might just mean that they're covering more physical distance throughout that given day and expanding and moving throughout a larger area of their home range, which gives you generally a better likelihood that they're going to get to that feeding area during daylight hours. On a day like that, you might not necessarily need to tuck right up tight to that bed in order to see some of that general deer movement. You might be able to see some deer movement in some of those areas that are more spread out and back and in pinch points, and even on food sources, primary food sources, whether they're feeding on oaks or crops or whatever the case may be. Also note that this prediction is for the general deer. It's not specifically for, say, mature bucks age 4 and up. It's giving you the prediction for the general deer. And really the transition area is a prediction that is in between the two. They're going to move a little bit more than they would on a core area prediction day, but not quite as much as a full range day. So it's somewhere in the middle. Increased likelihood of daytime movement along travel routes between core area and destination for staging and feeding. Now, like anything, this is a tool, and you have to take it in context of all of your other inputs that you have as a hunter. So like, let's say, for example, you have a full range movement prediction, but you know that morning is, say, the opening day of a firearms season in a heavily hunted firearms state where the Orange Army is going to be coming in full force, you're hunting public land. That should also have a very heavy influence on what you're going to be doing that particular day and how the deer are going to move.